Hi, I'm Allison Lovestone. I'm currently the Vice President Secondary of ICTM, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I've used Desmos activities in my classroom to monitor student work when remote um, and to provide feedback and see where students' thinking is currently lying. So the place to start is teacher.desmos.com, and there's no way I can get into everything here. There are some activities that are already created that you can just have students work through, all of that. I'm going to show you how I used activities alongside of materials that I created or as homework for materials that I created. So I can get to my items by going to History, is one way, or my collections or my custom. And these are all activities that I have created and used with some of my classes. So I'm going to start with transformations with quadratic equations because one thing I like is that students are able to submit sketches or drawings, which we don't see in all of the tools available to us for collecting student feedback. So when I log in, I've got my names anonymized, so I don't have to worry about that. If I have students finish early, I have them research their anonymized name because it shows up for them as well, and they get to learn a little bit about some mathematicians. But anyway, I have created an activity here. I had directions on the first slide, what I wanted them to do, when it was due. From this summary page, as students were working, they obviously aren't now, so we can't tell, but the slide they were currently on was blue, so it was easy for me to see if, one student was quite a ways behind where maybe I wanted to check in with them via Zoom, or if they were in the classroom, talk to them in class, or if some student was out ahead. But then I was able to ask them these different questions. I can click and see a student's answer. I can click on question, and then I'm able to see all of the student answers. I can look at them individually like this. I can pull them in with this snapshot to create a little presentation, or I can do an overlay, which really then lets me see, oh, we do have some students that did not agree with the majority. And so then I can go back into responses and try to scroll down and say, oh, yep, this was the student. I can unanonymize to see their name, and then I know I can have a conversation with them. Or Desmos now actually lets me provide lesson feedback right in here. So for this student, I was able to click here to provide lesson feedback, and then that was feedback that the student was able to see about their work on this screen. All of these were transformations, so I was able to see, pretty quickly what students had that idea and what students didn't, and provide them feedback. Another activity that I did with my algebra class involved some other tools in Desmos activities. So here was a card sort where students were sort of matching things up. Equations that were quadratic all went into one group. Things that were not quadratic went into another. And then when checking them, I was able to see, all right, the student got them all right. Ooh, the student's missing one. I could go find what that one was. I can also see the overview, and it tells me the most common incorrect groups, the most common incorrect card, which really helps me as a teacher know what and how I need to address that. Likewise, on the other questions, I can see all of the individual student responses if I want, or often this summary is really helpful. These students all answered the same thing. Now, if that's the right answer, that's good news because that's the answer most of them gave. If it's the wrong answer, it helps me know, okay, these are the students that I need to talk to about whatever misunderstanding that was demonstrating, and on down through the different answers that students submitted. In calculus, here you can see it was more optional. So I just want you to see if a student doesn't do work on a slide, it leaves sort of this plain gray box. The check mark means that they had completed that correctly. The X, it was incorrect. The dot means they've completed work there. And then notice you can see that I have provided student feedback on a number of these over here, where the student needed a little bit more information and feedback on there. That feedback is a new feature I made sure students were logged into their Google account when they were in Desmos so that they could get back in to see those comments as needed. But that's a little bit about how I used Desmos activities so that I could see where students were at different times in the activity. I could provide feedback. And one thing that I think it's really good at is sort of helping me see sort of what those common incorrect answers were so that I could address those with those particular groups of students.